Alrighty guys, welcome back to another GGF video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the relatively new keyboard that Corsair launched a few months ago. Now this was announced at Computex this year and it was released a little bit after. Now I don't normally do keyboards, but I am a tech channel. I love testing and playing around with multiple keyboards. I currently use a keyboard as my main as the ROG Azoth Extreme. I also use the Black Diamond 75. So I always like to tinker and play around with this. And then when I saw this set come out, you might be wondering, well, what is all of this? When this set came out, I just had to play around with it. So the MAKR 75, as the name suggests, the MAKR, you can pretty much make it yourself. Now, you go onto the Corsair Custom Labs website. I'll show you that in a second. You can choose every component you want for this keyboard. You can choose the bare bone kit, which is the frame, comes with the 8 dampening layers and all that. Then you can choose things like a switch plate. This is the upgraded switch plate. Then I'll go over all of these in more detail when I go over them in the custom labs. Things like this here is the wireless module. So by default, you can build it without wireless. You don't need the module. This is an LCD upgrade module. You don't need that. It comes default with the volume knob. Of course, you're going to need the switches. I'm assuming you need, or when you just choose the switches on custom labs, you get the 3 to fill out the keyboard. They have multiple switches you can choose. If you have your own switches, that's fine. You don't need to use their switches. I'll have a look to make sure if they're 5-pin, 3-pin, and so on. Then we have things like over here, I couldn't fit this on. We have 2 sets. For some reason, they sent 2 sets. You can get like the more fancy different patterns, or you can go with the more stock solid white and gray and a single black, and they will all vary in price as well. So I don't think I'm actually going to show putting this all together because it's just going to take forever to film all this, and there's no point speeding it up to the point where you're not going to see what I'm doing. Corsair has some pretty good instructions on all the modules, putting them all together and so on. Now, when I mean this is a bare bones, it's a bare bones as in it comes nearly built. It's not DIY where it comes fully disassembled. You got to put all the damping layers together. I'll throw a shot of all the 8 different damping layers. Really, the only hardest parts will be putting in the wireless module. You do need to take a little bit more of the keyboard apart, and then also the switch plate as well. Now I've only opened up, I think I only opened up a few things, but I haven't actually put any of this together yet. So I might actually move all of these off the screen just so we can get a better shot of the actual keyboard itself. I don't really need that. That's just some compliance information. Might move these off to the side so we have everything free. Keyboard itself is nicely wrapped. We'll have a look at that in a second. A switch and keycap remover. You'll probably need that. Tools. Now, if you're going to put this together yourself, I highly recommend use something other than an Allen key. You're probably going to have something like, or similar to this. If you're an enthusiast, you're doing some of this. I have this. It's a little bit overkill. This is my multi screwdriver set. It's got everything under the sun that you need, but at least probably not the best doing with an Allen key, but at least I put that in. So if you don't, you can resort to that. I think these may be extra or spare screws. I'll find out when I go to put it together. I'll put them aside. Other ones have some little dampeners in there. We'll probably need those. And then of course we have the cable, nice braided cable. And then inside the box, it's got things like the default keyboard shortcuts and all that. And it's good that you can use this on Corsair iCUE, which is nice. And you can also use it on Corsair's new web hub. So you don't solely need to use Corsair iCUE. So if you don't have any other Corsair products at all on your system, you want to get this up and going, you don't need to install iCUE. You can just go to their web hub. It's URL based and you can configure the keyboard through that. Okay, so take this out. This is obviously the silver. Hopefully it's not too over exposed being the silver, but it is a nice silver and it's quite heavy. I did say I'll go over each product as I go through them. So the bare bones kit, I will throw up the custom labs now. So when you go to just Google Corsair Custom Labs, that's what I do every time. Takes me straight to the place you need to go. You can start with the product. Obviously we want the MAKR 75 gaming keyboard. You can do other things. You can even do like memory. If you want to theme some of their memory, you can do custom patterns, but of course we want the MAKR 75. So straight away, pretty simple. Do we want silver or black? Obviously I've gone with silver. So we're gonna make up the same one that I've got. 179.99, so 180. Now you can leave the keyboard at this. You can completely do next. Check out if you have your own switches, providing they're the right type. I can tell that these are the 5-pin. If you got the right switches, you have enough keycaps. If you have a decent amount of keycaps, providing Corsair haven't done anything funky with the layout, you can get away with just checking out with this. 180 bucks, won't be wireless. It will be cable only. You can check out and away you go. But obviously we want to do a bit more. It does come with the included switch plate. It is a polycarbonate. That is kind of nice. A lot of people do already like the polycarbonate ones, but we can go with one like the FR4, which I do have. So now I can open up that one. A lot of Corsair products, they're really trying to do their little part from the environment. Everything comes wrapped in bits of like cardboard and everything. Nothing really comes in plastic anymore from them. So the advantage of this, it gives a balanced typing experience. It's just meant to feel a little bit nicer. 20 bucks, it's up to you whether you want to go down that route. And that is all that is. So if you go online to the instructions, it'll tell you what point. You can see that it's got these same rubber pads for the spacebar. So that would go under this plate here, and then it will just go on there. So to remove this one, and that one would go on, and we will do that when I go through putting it together, but I won't show setting everything up on video. So we can select that one, FR4, we bumped up to now 200 or 199.99, go next. Now we can choose our switches. Let's move this over here, this over here. Now, when I chose these, I actually chose everything I wanted for this. I like clicky, and if you look at the website, we have the Plasma Linear, Fusion Tactile, Quantum Speed, Pulse, Thocky. You notice that they're all $34.98, surprisingly, so basically $35. That the Thocky is another $15 more, so it'd be interesting to see why or know why they are more expensive. But obviously for me, I like my clicky. Actually, I've already opened those. I wanted to see how clicky they were. It's always hard to see or get the feel of what a switch is going to feel like just to switch on its own. Like, I'll put this up to the microphone. Like, that doesn't feel too clicky, but I'm pretty sure once I put it in, I always find that once it's in a keyboard and I start typing down, and once it's with all the other layers, you will get the true feel of that. So there are all the switches there. So I will choose the ones that I've chosen. The tactile, we're at $234.97, go next. Move these out of the way. Now we can choose our keycaps. So I actually chose the Sea Breeze, but Corsair sent me the Silver Sun. So we'll look at the Silver Sun is basically just white, gray, and yellow. And then we have the ones I got, the Sea Breeze, which are sort of the teal and the white. So all of them are $40, except for the stock black and white are $10 cheaper at $30. So I will go with, say, I think I might go with the Silver Sun when I build it. It won't affect the price because it's the same as the Sea Breeze. Now we're at $274.97. Go next. I won't open these because we'll see these in the final once I get everything together. Two other options last you can go for. We're not done yet. We can go with things like, let's scroll down, the extra module. So LCD module is $29. I'm not sure exactly what you can throw on this, but it's going to show things like volume. You can set it up in the WebHub or iCUE to show images and GIFs and all that stuff. It's not a touchscreen, so you can't really do too much in terms of messing around with it, but it is super small. Like, there's only so much you're going to want to do on a screen this size. The specs of it, 1.3 inch, and it's 240 by 240. So 240 by 240, it should be pretty crystal clear for the size that is. Like, this is my watch here, and that's the size of it. Actually, just rest it there. That is the size of it compared to my watch. So it is pretty small, and it goes exactly right where the volume knob goes. So it's up to you. Do you want to trade off the volume knob? I always like a volume knob on a keyboard. I just love being able to quickly adjust volume. Down is mute, but once you put this one in there, it's going to substitute that volume knob. So you're not going to have any volume on that. And we'll just get a closer look at that. And then obviously this is going to be a little bit more complex putting it together. You'll need to take quite a bit of this keyboard apart because we do have like a ribbon cable that goes in as well. But yeah, if you didn't go with all these extra options, if you didn't go with this extra switch plate, if you just went with the switches and the caps, you wouldn't have to take any apart. Throw the switches in, throw the caps on, and you are good to go. Now the other module is the wireless module. So before, the stock keyboard, no wireless at all. And then this is it here. It basically looks like a little laptop battery that you get, but it's got the wireless built in. Of course, it needs to have a battery because the stock bare bones does not come with a battery. So that's it in here. Battery is 4,170 milliamps. So what does that mean in terms of life? It says up to 172 hours with Bluetooth and no lighting, and that's without the LCD. Remember, adding an LCD is going to chew a little bit more juice out of the keyboard. And then with your standard 2.4 gigahertz, which I'm assuming you're all going to want to use, you're getting about 37 to 39 hours with your default lighting, and that's with the LCD. So that's probably worst case scenario with the LCD and 2.4 gigahertz, just under 40 hours. And that is it there. Focus on that, spin it around so the Corsair logo is the right way. That's in there. And that's it. Nothing too fancy to look at, but that'll take a little bit to put in. And I can assume that this somewhere's going to mate up with this, because if you have a full metal or aluminum keyboard, like this is quite heavy. This is like 916 grams. Wireless doesn't penetrate too well through a solid metal. I'm assuming this bit here, I can actually feel the difference. This bit here is a plastic sort of cover to allow for that wireless to penetrate through, because I would rather have a good wireless signal than have that little bit be all aluminum and then not be able to use the keyboard to its fullest potential. So where are we now? Wireless module tick, the LCD module tick, and we're at $353. Now that is everything. We can get a good idea of the whole feature set we have. And now we've got an option, pre-assembled or not. Obviously this is not pre-assembled. We can go pre-assembled, and it actually does not change the price as well, which I think is pretty good. I thought it was going to throw on like $20, $30 service fee, but it does not. So that's pretty nifty. Now, $353. I think this has come down, because when I first ordered this, I swear it was over close to $500. And I was thinking, wow, $500 keyboard from Corsair. But what I'm going to do now, I will talk about some other keyboards I use, just so we can get a price scale of things to see where this sits. But $350 wasn't as bad as I thought when it first came out, because it was a lot more, I think. So I'm going to put this all together, and then we can see how it looks, throw it into the Corsair Web Hub and see how that LCD, what it shows and all of that. So that wasn't too bad, about 30-35 minutes to get that all back together. The longest parts would have been definitely putting in the switches and the keycaps. So I'll just remove this little protective film. The screen went in super easy. You just undid 3 screws, popped it out, put the frame in. This is the old volume knob now. So the only downside is we don't really have a volume knob. So you would have to configure that through a hotkey or using a combination of keys. So we don't really need that anymore. It was exactly the same size. This one just came out. Where the wireless module was or goes in, this was in place, just a rubber pad. So this came out, the wireless module went in. Then for the wireless module, there was this big Corsair blanking plate that went along the top. We have to pop that out, and then we put in a bunch of, obviously switches needed to go in for the on and off. Things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth had to go in there. Then lastly, the switch plate. That was the stock one, polycarbonate one came out, and then the other one went in. So even things like the wireless module didn't need any screws, just clipped in, popped in. The only screws was actually taking the back off. I'll actually just turn this off, and then we can have a look at the back. There is a little peel here. This is probably going to be super overexposed, but we'll see how it goes. Little peel there. So I got PC Mac mode there. The back looks really nice. We do have these feet, rubber feet now. This is pretty much flat. Doesn't move, nice and solid. Then we have these magnetic ones. For some reason, the magnetic ones don't have any rubber. They're just actually plastic. So I would have liked there to have been just a little bit of a rubber strip or something on these feet, just to make them not as slippery, because you got rubber when you take them off on here, got rubber here, but not when they're on. But I always do like a slightly raised keyboard. Quick typing test to see how it feels. Does feel nice and clicky, just how I like it. I wouldn't say it's the clickiest around, but definitely more to my taste. I'll move it a little bit closer. Microphone is literally just up here in this corner a little bit. Spacebar is still a little bit tinny. Would have liked it just a little bit more sort of sound dampened. I think the backspace is probably the best sounding. Backspace and tab feel good, but overall pretty good. And then you can go with different ones that you prefer. So to bring up the new web hub, you just Google Corsair web hub. That's what I did. Came up straight away. First of all, you have to authorize the device. I did all that, updated it, got everything good. So you got lighting effects, key assignments, flash tap, and screen. Let's go over and add one of the RGB ones. We'll go to like a static, set something to blue, set it to a little bit darker. It is a little bit slow. It is running off the web interface, and you may see that. It's a little bit hard to see. But yeah, pretty much all of the basic Corsair RGB colors are there, all the modes. Key assignments, you can set macros and set all things like that. Moving on to flash tap. Now, if you're into this stuff, this is like the rapid trigger. Flash tap is what Corsair are calling their system that enhances movement when pressing multiple keys at once. So it includes modes like prioritizing the first and last key presses. So if you're into doing all that, you play a lot of Counter-Strike, strafing and all that. I've never done that in my life, so I don't really need to do that. And then the screen. Screen is blanked out. Now this is quite interesting. It says to customize the screen, you need to connect the USB cable. Now, I also tested that in iCUE. Even when I do connect the USB cable now, so we can connect the USB cable, turn this off. Now, when we go to the screen, you still can't customize the screen in the web hub. If I go back down, can't really do anything in web hub. So now I'm going to skip using web hub. I wasn't even going to use iCUE, but the fact that you can't use the screen in web hub, I am now going to use iCUE. All right, so I now have iCUE up. So if I disconnect this again, put it into wireless mode just to check that. So yeah, once again, screen is not highlighted. It says to modify the screen, you need to please connect the USB cable. So that's a bit of a downside. I don't know why they've had to do that. It's just a shame. Now I can turn the wireless off, use the cable connector. So I guess for the rest of this, I'm going to use or leave the cable plugged in. So we've got lighting effects again. Now, if you move with iCUE, now we're back into iCUE software. Lighting effects, key assignments, and then we move down to performance. I can disable things like the Windows key and all that. And then we got more of the flash tap settings that shows you a little bit more. And then of course, the screen, which is what I wanted. What I wanted to actually have a look at. So by default, we got things like just the logo spinning around. We have things like your package temp, your load, and we have battery life, things like that. And you can always add things yourself, images. You can keep the battery symbol on there, and you can change the color and the text and all that. And then of course you can have sensors. But if you followed my recent video on the Corsair Edge screen, it's kind of similar to that. Obviously you can't add a whole heap of things. You can't add like graphs and things like that. It's just more basic because it is relatively small and it is not touch. So that's pretty much it on the screen. Nothing too over the top. Personally, I don't know. I think I would probably maybe want the volume knob maybe back in over the screen because there's not too much you can put on there. Now, if you're looking for a more affordable keyboard, actually, Corsair did recently send me, this just showed up. I didn't really request it. I didn't even know it was coming out. This is the Vanguard 96. So this comes in the Vanguard 96 and the Pro 96. So I got the normal 96. The only difference is the Pro has the MGX Hyperdrive Hall effect switches. The non-Pro, which is this one, just has more regular, your MLX mechanical switches, which are fine for me because Hall effect switches, you can't really get them in not glossy, you can't get them in clicky or anything like that. And I do like my clicky switches, although these aren't clicky. I could always swap these out if I wanted to. So some things about this keyboard, it's a compact 96% layout. Like it's not that much bigger than the MAKR 75. Now this one does have a screen and it does have a volume knob. So I pretty much kill two birds with one stone with this one, whereas you can either have one or the other. This one has both. So this has a 320 by 170 LCD display. you can put similar things to this on. It's got constant things on the side that gives you indications, whereas this thing just seems to solely does one item at a time. And then the price for this one, you're looking at $179 for this one, which is the non-pro, and then $229 for the pro for those Hall effect switches. But this one, definitely, it does not feel as good. It's all plastic, plastic on the back. And then we do have some G keys on the side, which I guess are always welcomed. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's probably like a game mode there. So the final price for the MAKR ended up being $353, and then you're looking at $179. So you got to see or know if those differences are going to matter to you. But in saying that, I just want to compare these two to some other keyboards I use on a regular basis. Move this one out of the way. So this one here is my Black Diamond 75. Now this one is pretty insane. It's from Angry Mayo. I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly. It's got nice dampening. It's got clicky switches. I believe I did swap these. And then it does have the Qi charging on the back. And this thing is an absolute monster. This one, $289, or this one over here, $289 on Amazon for that one. This one here is a ROG Azoth Extreme. This will be the most expensive at $460. Of course, you're going to be paying that ROG. It's actually got a sticker on it. You're going to be paying that ROG tax for this one. This one is all sort of carbon fiber, aluminum, and it does have the switchable dampening. You can have it sort of more firm or more squishy as well. Then a slightly more affordable one I have is the Edelkrone MAKR L1. I've had this for a while. I think I featured it in a few videos. This one has some nice dampening as well, and this one is $220. You can get it on Amazon, and it's all aluminum as well. So I just wanted to show that this isn't sponsored by Corsair. They didn't want me to do a positive video. I've seen a lot of content on some Corsair products and these keyboards where everyone says this is like a game changer. It's amazing. Like, it is a nice keyboard, but there are plenty of options out there. So it seems to be these bigger brands out there like ROG and Corsair. They seem to be charging more for a keyboard than what you can get similar from other companies. So you can see from the Edelkrone, even Corsair's smaller Vanguard or more affordable Vanguard, which still has the volume and the display, and then also this Black Diamond, which are really, really nice. And you got this forged carbon effect on here that just looks really, really nice. But anyway, I want to know your thoughts on this Corsair. I guess if you're a Corsair fan, you love your Corsair products. Like, people will buy it. People just like trying out new things. It's just the way the world works, but there are definitely other options out there. I'm not saying rush out and buy this keyboard. Like, it is nice. I'll probably try it for a bit. I really do like, I might actually unplug this, make sure it's off. I really do like playing with new keyboards. It feels nice. It's nice and compact. It's actually about the same size as that Azoth Extreme. And then the screen, I don't know, I might put the volume knob back in. But yeah, $353, let me know your thoughts. When I did actually order all these parts off the Corsair website for them to send out, I do believe it was more. I think it was about 100, because I was saying to me, this is nearly a $500 keyboard. Obviously it's come down a bit, so the $350 isn't so far outrageous as what it was before. But anyway, I think that is it. I do want to thank Corsair for sending this out to check out. I do want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.